To comfort the new transfer student who got hurt, Wendy told him about how I was bullied. When I caught her, she just brushed it off, saying, "It's all in the past. I just hope he can get through it like you did." As she wished, I returned all the gifts Wendy gave me and didn't say a word about our past. Later, I got into my dream school and returned to my old school to give a speech. But the transfer student's lies got exposed, and both he and Wendy became examples of what not to do. Wendy's lips trembled. "You used to never let anyone make fun of me." I just smiled casually. "It's all in the past. I just hope everyone can avoid the mistakes you made." The day I won the essay competition, I was super excited to share my joy with everyone. But when I got to class, everyone had weird looks on their faces. The new kid, Calvin, blinked twice with a look of pity. He said, "Alex, who would have thought you got bullied too? And so badly. That's just sad." I dropped my award certificate, feeling shocked. "What are you saying?" Calvin gave an innocent smile. "Come on, Alex. We all know." He continued, "You used to get bullied 'cause you were timid. Still got scars, huh? No wonder you always wear long sleeves, even in summer." He pulled out his phone, zooming in on a photo, saying, "Man, those guys were ruthless. Locking you in the bathroom, soaking you with dirty water, ripping your clothes. Alex, that's just terrible." As he spoke, he showed the photos to others. After seeing the photos, the classmates looked at me with complex expressions. Some even took a step back, keeping a distance. Not a single person spoke up for me. Actually, Calvin and I transferred here around the same time. Due to my personality, I didn't have many friends in this school. The only person I was close to was Wendy, but she wasn't in the class at the time. My mind went blank. I couldn't believe what I wanted to keep hidden was exposed like this. The feeling of isolation was like I was back in those dark days. I closed my eyes, holding back my anger. "Calvin, shut up. You have no right to judge my past." As soon as I said it, someone immediately defended Calvin. "Why make Calvin shut up? He's just trying to comfort you. No wonder you got bullied before." Calvin put on a show to explain, "Don't say that, guys. I know Alex is mean to me, but Wendy said Alex is a great guy. We should look out for him." He touched my picked-up certificate. "Look, Alex won the essay competition. Let's congratulate him." Seeing this, Calvin's buddy sneered. "Who knows, maybe he wrote about getting bullied, playing the sympathy card with the judges for the win. If I wrote my tragic story, maybe I'd win too. What's there to show off?" I shook off Calvin's hand with a cold look. "Don't touch me." Calvin almost stumbled into the desk, but Wendy, who suddenly appeared, caught him. She handed Calvin some meds from the nurse's office, then frowned at me. "Alex, stop causing trouble." The class bell rang, and everyone went back to their seats. I couldn't focus through a lesson, and when it ended, Wendy approached me. She gave me a gift to celebrate my win and then crouched down to ask, "What happened? Why'd you get so upset? Shouldn't you be happy about the award?" I felt a twinge of grievance. They're talking about me being bullied, even bringing up my old photos. Wendy stiffened for a moment, about to speak when Calvin interrupted with slight pride in his eyes. Smiling, "Alex, don't blame Wendy. She told me about your bullying to comfort me." I was stunned, a bit teary-eyed, repeating what Calvin said to comfort him. "So you told him about me being bullied, right?" Wendy hesitated but quickly steadied herself, dismissing it. "It's all in the past. Calvin's being bullied too. I hoped he could get through it like you did." I jumped up, tears streaming down. "So you did tell him. Even knowing how much I wanted to forget, you showed him the photos too. Wendy, you promised no one would see those again." She looked shocked, thrown to the ground. The gift shattered along with it. Calvin reacted first, shielding Wendy, tearfully speaking. "Alex, you blamed Wendy wrongly. She didn't show me the photos. I stumbled on them on your middle school's forum. I don't mind if you're mad at me, but you should apologize to Wendy. She did nothing wrong." His face was all sorrowful, like he was the one being wronged. People around started looking over, their eyes hard to decipher, focusing on me. I didn't care, just met Wendy's gaze. She didn't reply to Calvin and slowly stood up, a bit lost, looking at me, saying softly, "Alex, I didn't know you cared so much. I thought it was all behind us." Calvin tried to speak, But Wendy cut him off, locking eyes with me, panic laced in her tone. I'm sorry. I didn't consider your feelings. I just wanted to help Calvin. Hoped you'd understand. Maybe my expression was too frightening. Calvin came over to apologize too. He wiped non-existent tears and clutched my arm tightly. With a forced smile, he said, Alex, it's all my fault. I should have never needed Wendy to comfort me. It's fine, even if I'm alone against school bullying. I'll be okay. Please don't be mad at Wendy. But he gripped too tightly, his nails pressing through my shirt into my skin. Old memories tugged at me, of being locked in the bathroom, having my private parts pinched. In a rush to free my arm, Calvin fell backward, crashing against the desk corner and then onto the floor. Glass shards cut into his leg, bright red blood gushing out. Alex, he gasped. I know I shouldn't have gotten close to Wendy, but she was only trying to help me. What did we do wrong? Both victims of bullying. Why treat me this way? With just a few words, he diverted the blame, complaints erupting around me. Nuts, just talking about his past, what's the big deal? Why so angry? Wendy's not his servant. He doesn't get to choose her friends. And she's just helping a classmate. Why the fuss? If you ask me, maybe he wasn't even bullied. Maybe the others just served him right. My face was pale, my fingers clenched tightly. I stared intensely at Wendy. Wendy, in anger, pushed me aside, bending over toward Calvin. She pushed with such force that my shoulder skewed. Alex, that's enough. He's only trying to comfort you. Even if what I did was wrong, you shouldn't take it out on Calvin. You know he's hurt. What you're doing now is no different from those who bullied you before. She gently helped Calvin up and walked him towards the nurse's office. Before leaving, she gave me a disappointed look. Just because you've been bullied before doesn't mean you can treat everyone else with the worst intentions. Alex, no one owes you anything. Eventually, the matter reached the teacher's ears. After school, the teacher called in our parents. Wendy's mom, upon hearing the whole story, couldn't stop apologizing to me. She even pulled Wendy, asking her to apologize. Back in the day, when Wendy's mom found out I was being bullied at school, she proactively suggested that Wendy and I transfer to the same school. It was her idea for Wendy to keep me company. I've always appreciated it and haven't wanted her to feel too guilty. Over the years, my mom has consistently taken me to see a therapist, and I've recovered quite a bit. I'm no longer that kid who'd be terrified to leave the house at the slightest threat. Besides, the therapist told me that waiting for others to save me isn't the solution. Only I can save myself. I politely reassured her mom that it was all good and mentioned that I've grown up and no longer need Wendy's protection. She looked deeply apologetic. When Wendy heard my rejection, she suddenly looked up. Alex, what did you say? You don't need me anymore? I paused for a moment, then nodded. Yes, I'm grateful for the help you gave me back then, but I think it's time you had your own life. I won't bother you anymore. You can help anyone else you want without interference from me. Upon hearing this, Wendy's face turned cold, her tone laced with sarcasm. Use and discard, huh? Fine, you're great. Alex, you'll regret this. Wendy stormed out after saying that. Wendy found someone to swap seats with, moving from sitting in front of me to being Calvin's desk mate. It was like she was out to mess with me, always making a ruckus while I was doing my homework. She'd intentionally drop things my way to disrupt me, and when I looked over, she'd pretend indifference and go back to joking with Calvin. Calvin couldn't help but boast, with a mocking tone, "Isn't this our top student, Alex? Sorry for disrupting your studies. Let me apologize on Wendy's behalf." But a big-hearted top student wouldn't mind returning my stuff, would he? I didn't miss the smug, challenging look in Calvin's eyes. But I didn't care. I silently tossed his stuff to the side, ignoring it. That day, the homeroom teacher told me that many students hesitated to stand up because they didn't know how to help a bullied classmate. If possible, he hoped I'd give a talk at next week's school assembly. He wanted me to tell everyone that bringing up someone's scars to comfort another isn't the right way to handle school bullying. Unity and courage are the best ways to address it. It made sense to me. On the day of the flag-raising ceremony, I wore the school's summer pants, not hiding the scars on my legs. I openly shared my past. I said, Pity and sympathy can't help someone out of school bullying. Respect comes from equal footing. Being bullied wasn't my fault, and I'll never be ashamed of my past. Thinking about it, I added, similarly, using one person's scars to comfort another doesn't erase the shadow of school bullying. But unity and companionship can. The audience erupted into thunderous applause. Only Wendy stared intently at me. After the ceremony ended, I went against the crowd to wash my face in the bathroom. That's when someone yanked me into a corner. It was Wendy. She leaned against my shoulder, her eyes red with frustration. "Alex, what did you mean just now? Are you deliberately trying to go against me? You know I just wanted to help Calvin, yet during your speech you intentionally said that. Alex, are you trying to embarrass me?" I whispered. "Do you also feel embarrassed? You should." Taking a deep breath, I met her gaze directly. Finally, I asked the question I'd wanted to ask since discovering everything. "When you told Calvin about my past, when Calvin showed others my pictures, when you took his side unconditionally and blamed me for bullying him, did you ever think I might feel embarrassed too?" Wendy wasn't ignorant of how much I wanted to remove those scars later on. I saw countless doctors and explored numerous options. My mom said she'd do whatever it took to remove those ugly scars if it made me happy. But I kept them. Not because I didn't mind, but precisely because I did. I'm far from brave. Sometimes, seeing those scars reminds me of humiliating memories. But I kept them because I know to get past this, I first have to conquer my fear and face myself. Back then, Wendy understood all my pain and uncertainty. She'd say, "Don't worry, I'll always be there for you." She said no one was always brave, but she'd always give me courage. She said it, and I believed it simply because it was her who said it. Yet, she chose to spill all the past I wished to hide just to comfort some guy we barely knew, without considering how it made me feel. Calvin claimed Wendy never showed him pictures from my past, so it didn't violate the agreement between us. And I had no grounds to blame Wendy. Wendy back then didn't deny it. She hadn't considered that by using this incident as a tool at her leisure to comfort some unfamiliar guy, she had already hurt me. Wendy was shocked by my words, taking a few steps back, remorse mixed in her expression. She said sorry, but I didn't want to argue or debate this anymore. I simply brushed past her arm, rubbing my shoulder, and walked on. The homeroom teacher was right. I had more important things to do. As I turned the corner, I ran into Calvin, who was looking for Wendy. He seemed afraid I might say something in front of Wendy, so he quickly tried to pin the blame on me. "Alex, what's the point of blaming Wendy? Talking about these things might actually help you. Avoiding them won't work. You need to face everything to move past the shadows." He paused, biting his lip, and glanced at Wendy. His voice softened a bit. "Besides, Wendy was just trying to help me. We weren't making fun of you. Why are you so upset and giving her attitude during your presentation?" I looked up calmly. "Calvin, don't try to guilt-trip me. This is my business. I don't want anyone else to know about it. No one has the right to know." After that day, Wendy tried to apologize to me. She would buy breakfast I liked every morning and place it on my desk early. I gave the breakfast to classmates who weren't well off, telling them it was a kind gesture from Wendy, who was too shy to deliver it herself. Wendy noticed but didn't give up, while Calvin seemed more flustered. When he found out I was working on a script for the school anniversary, Calvin came over with a pile of novels. "Alex, I was wrong before. I didn't realize you were so sensitive. I'm sorry for upsetting you. To make it up to you, let me help with your script. I've read a lot of novels." I twisted the pen in my hand and gave a casual smile. "Sure, I'm writing an anti-bullying play. The first scene is about how exposing someone's wounds is a form of bullying. Since you have experience in that area, want to write it?" I offered the pen to Calvin. He hesitated and didn't take it. With a pale face, he asked what I meant. My desk mate couldn't stand it anymore. Arms crossed mockingly. "It means, come back to chat with Alex once you realize your mistakes. Saying you didn't know about the sensitivity. If you did something disgraceful, don't blame Alex for not being tough. Turning the tables seems to be your game, huh? Don't think we wasted all those years on reading comprehension." "I didn't mean it that way." Calvin was cut off by my desk mate. She pulled a pack of tissues from her desk and opened a new trash bag. I figured you'd pull this move. Cry all you want, but make sure to clean up after yourself. Don't claim we bullied you. Calvin's tears awkwardly hung on his face. At this moment, Wendy happened to walk in. Seeing what was going on, she walked quickly over. In Calvin's expectant gaze, she eased past him and placed a newly purchased cake on my desk. It's a new flavor from the snack shop. Alex, you've been working hard lately. A little sweetness might brighten your mood. I pushed it back. No need, Wendy. I've told you before, you have your life. Let's not interfere with each other. Wendy looked a bit forlorn. Can't we just be friends? I smiled but stayed silent. My desk mate chimed in with a blink. I don't know how you city folks talk, but in our village, we don't call relationships that involve picking at someone's scars friendship. Wendy looked down at me, seeming to hope I'd speak up for her. But unlike when she remained silent while Calvin mocked me, I burst out laughing. Calvin tugged Wendy's sleeve and softly called, Wendy. Wendy finally noticed Calvin still standing there and frowned. Why are you still here? Calvin looked even more embarrassed. My desk mate stifled a laugh, kindly filling Wendy in on what happened. After listening, Wendy simply turned to Calvin with no backward glance saying, Calvin, you're not the right fit. Cautiously, she asked me, Alex, during those times you needed me, I collected a bunch of resources and have lots of experience. Can I help you? Without hesitation, I refused. No need, you're not right for this either. After that day, Wendy kept slipping me material. Each time, she'd sneak it into my desk when I wasn't around, afraid of my refusal. Often, she'd bring a whole bunch at once. It was clear she'd copied everything down herself. She even gave up study time for this. In the latest monthly exams, Wendy's grades dropped significantly. She didn't care about that. She just concerned herself with my script. Alex, I collected some new resources. I'll summarize over the weekend. I can get them to you next week. Her eyes sparkled. Wait for me. I organized the printed information recently, bent down, rummaged through the bottom of my backpack for older materials. I spread them on the table straightforwardly explaining, I got the info last time you gave, but many of your stats are outdated and unusable. Wendy, I appreciate your goodwill, but I don't need it. I'm no longer that timid person needing protection. I now have the courage and ability to stride forward. Wendy always thought I was joking when I said she wasn't suitable, until the script was finished, and the casting didn't include her name. After school, she stopped me. Alex, why didn't you pick me? Maybe it hit her hard, as her voice trembled. Did you forget the times I was there for you? Or do you just care that I helped Calvin too? Wendy deliberately picked this road to stop me. The road leads west to the sea. Every time I didn't want to face reality, every moment I felt scared, Wendy brought me to walk along the sea. People always danced by the sea, and nearby there was an abandoned amusement park where kids adventured. Every time, Wendy drew me into the crowd of strangers. Amidst life's troubles, blending in brought a sense of openness and calm. I haven't forgotten. I started thinking about the play script long ago. Back then, there was an important role reserved for her. I intended to join her in raising awareness about bullying on campus and silently work against it. So, Calvin was holding his phone and saying it was all Wendy's idea just to comfort herself. Suddenly, I realized Wendy wasn't really cut out for this role. And even Wendy herself admitted that it was all in the past. Calmly, I reminded her Calvin's faking it. Can't you see? Those injuries aren't from protecting his buddies from bullies. Nah, he knocked himself against a wall to have an excuse to get close to Wendy. I saw the whole scene and ended up getting a backpack full of books slammed into my shoulder by Calvin. He threatened me. Alex, don't spill to Wendy. Otherwise, you'll get booted from school just like you did in junior high. The bruise on my shoulder doesn't hurt anymore. Not far on the beach, I could swear I still heard kids laughing and playing. Wendy took a shaky breath and said slowly, Alex, you have no proof, so I can't gamble on it. Maybe, just maybe, there's this tiny sliver of a chance that Calvin's genuinely being bullied. But I can't give up on him just because the odds seem low. Plus, honestly, you guys have been giving him the cold shoulder lately. Oh, so that's how it is. During that speech, I shared my past openly and voiced my thoughts. A lot of folks who weren't exactly close to me, who were sort of on the fence when I stood up to Calvin, started approaching me for advice on tackling school bullying. They said they didn't publicly refute Calvin because they weren't really supporting him or judging my past. Instead, they were worried that one wrong word might hit me where it hurt. Once I laid it all out there, everybody felt free of hesitation. More and more friends surrounded me, supporting and caring for me. I knew Calvin was telling folks that I was encouraging others to shun him. But I never paid that much attention to his stories. Didn't expect he'd spin that tale to Wendy too. Those words were a final blow, shattering what little warmth remained. The wind seemed to sigh along. I heard myself whisper, "Wendy, you really are something, quite the humanitarian." Wendy never brought up the play again. Heard she and Calvin were brainstorming a new gig, supposedly a dance performance about anti-bullying. Calvin planned to work all his bullying experiences into the routine. Couldn't care less. But while rehearsing, I often overheard arguments from the dance studio next door. Calvin accused Wendy of not giving it her all. "You're not committed. Are you still hung up on Alex's play?" Wendy sounded exhausted. "Doesn't matter now. I just want to do something meaningful." They fought a lot. Their rehearsals were a disaster, and Wendy's grades continued to plunge. The teacher kept pulling her aside for talks every so often. For some reason, Wendy never seemed to take it to heart. Her mom subtly asked me about it, and I just told the truth. Her grades and future are her business. If she doesn't care, then I don't see why I should. Later, Wendy often watched us during rehearsal breaks from the door of our dance room. If asked, she'd say she was learning from us. We're aiming for the same goal, so I guess we're not competitors but comrades. Nobody really bothered her. They just let her be. When Calvin found out, surprisingly, he didn't get mad. He even pushed Wendy to learn from us diligently. My desk mate always felt like something was off, checking props with me daily to make sure no one messed with them. But when I realized something was wrong, it was too late. While verifying the props, someone shoved me. There was oil on the floor that I hadn't noticed. I lost my footing and fell down the stairs, hurting my leg. The next day was supposed to be the full rehearsal. After waking up in the hospital, I found out Wendy had accidentally spilled the oil on the floor. She said Calvin had her move props around. On Calvin's orders, she made several trips. On her last run, she felt something spill but thought it was just water and was about to check when someone called her away. She didn't manage to in time. No one knew who pushed me since I fell in a blind spot on the surveillance cameras. In the hospital room, Wendy looked remorseful, seeming more troubled than I was even though I was the one injured. She said, "I didn't know Calvin would stoop so low. I truly just wanted to help him." Her face buried in her hands. Her voice was filled with agony. "Every time I see him wronged, I think of how you were bullied, how you hid in the closet crying because you were too scared to fight back. Alex, I genuinely don't want anyone else to go through what you did." I gave a cynical smile. At this point, she was still busy distancing herself. I didn't piggyback on her guilt trip, just asked, "Does it hurt?" Wendy looked confused. What are you talking about?" I patiently repeated. "A while back, everyone sneered at you for hanging with Calvin and mocked your judgment. Did it hurt?" "Yeah, it must have. When Calvin aired my dirty laundry, it hurt even more." Past pain surged back relentlessly and all at once. It made breathing hard. But, in that very instant, a realization struck me. Wendy maybe never truly took school bullying seriously. Back then, she was willing to help me earnestly because the one bullied was me. Later, with someone else she wanted to save, everything I'd been through didn't matter anymore. Maybe she was never the one I was looking for. In that moment of clarity, I let go instantly. She proved she was unsuitable. "Wendy, there's something I've always wanted to return to you. You didn't care to find out the truth and sided with Calvin unconditionally. How are you any different from those who bullied me back then?" Wendy left, looking lost. After she left, my dad came in with fruit. Outside, the trees swayed. I came clean with my dad. "Dad, I'm done with Wendy. We've been done for a while now." My dad didn't ask me why. He just handed me a slice of apple and said calmly, "It's done." Then, "I'm telling you, Many things aren't up to you or in your control. But some things, like the direction of your life and who you choose as travel companions, those are up to you. The next day was rehearsal time. Yeah, time was tight, but thankfully we always had a plan B. A classmate filled in for my spot and we switched to the backup script. There weren't many changes. Just added a character who limped but was still determined to fight alongside everyone. On the performance day, I showed up with a crutch. Near the end of the show, I appeared on stage and joined everyone in ringing the bell of justice. It was the sound of unity and bravery. Even after the curtain fell, the applause kept on. I didn't see Wendy. Heard her act got cut. Their performance was just okay and barely made it through because of its message. Turned out, they copied that message from you guys while trying to harm you at the same time. No way that kind of act was going to be showcased at the school anniversary. After the school celebration wrapped up, some friends of mine helped me sort through what happened during the incident. The cops had come by to gather evidence, but there were too many people coming and going before the rehearsal, so they couldn't find anything useful. Everyone suspected Calvin, but without evidence, we had to let it be. We kept an eye on things, hoping Calvin might slip up someday. Meanwhile, Wendy stuck by Calvin like nothing happened. People whispered it might be 'cause Calvin had something on her. Others thought maybe she'd just lost her way. I didn't bother with it. Once my leg healed, I focused on studying for college entrance exams. I didn't reach out to Wendy again. If I saw her in school, I acted like I didn't know her. Sometimes she looked at me with a complicated expression, maybe apologetic or something else. I wasn't in the mood to figure it out, too busy tackling those tough science questions. Later, I found out Wendy's mom had Wendy hang out with me back then to help her grow. She knew Wendy often struggled to tell right from wrong, easily led by others. Wendy was also impulsive, jumping into things without checking facts. During her time with me, her temper improved. She helped me and learned to verify info, to think before acting. Her grades even got better. So in a way, we kinda helped each other. But eventually, we went our separate ways. I heard about Wendy again when she got into a fight with someone from Calvin's group. That's when everyone found out Wendy hadn't been with Calvin because of some hold over her or because she'd gone astray. She was trying to find evidence of Calvin's wrongdoings against me. Instead, she stumbled upon him bullying others. To protect a student, she fought Calvin's crew. Got pretty banged up and ended up missing that year's exams. Calvin and his pals got taken away. I visited Wendy as the class rep, shared the news. She handed me a handmade osmanthus flower, smiled, and said, "Alex, wishing you a bright future." When exam results came out, I got into my dream school. I got an invite back to share my experience. I openly thanked everyone who helped me. The road ahead might have darkness, but good mentors and friends light the way. If you face injustice, speak up. Life sometimes demands courage. I might have been timid once, but now, when needed, I choose to be brave. Mentioning Wendy's quest to expose Calvin, everyone sighed deeply. The school didn't recommend her way, and highlighted that during a meeting. Calvin's nasty lies were exposed. Everyone saw he'd claimed bullying for sympathy and attention while being the bully himself. Wendy, for her lack of judgment and rash acts, was also used as a cautionary tale, along with Calvin. I listened quietly, taking notes now and then. The teacher said, "Don't think being close with someone means you can joke about their past. Even in kindness, using someone's story isn't right. Others' pasts aren't your tokens. Only they decide if the past can stay there. Faced with tough times, seek help. Acting rashly alone isn't wise." When talking about the bullying details, Wendy suddenly showed up by my side. As someone involved, she understood some parts were info I'd given the teachers. Her lips trembled, and she looked pale. "Alex, you've never let others laugh at me before." I put down my pen, glanced up calmly. "Didn't you say it's all in the past? I'm just hoping others can learn from where you went wrong." Maybe at that moment, Wendy finally realized what her past mistakes meant for me. Because of her, only the past remained between us, no future. Later, my mom got a job transfer to the city where my college was. Before school started, we moved. While packing, I gave my old notes and materials to a junior. Accidentally, my diary got mixed in. The junior teased, "Senior, You forgot this? I said, throw it away. That diary held notes on how Wendy had helped me. Dreams including her. Once, it mattered deeply to me, so much I slept with it every night. Then, when Wendy insisted I understand her need to help Calvin, I realized the most important thing was being the one who doesn't give up in tough times. I tossed my journal into a trash can near my home and took my underclassmen to a nearby ice cream shop to share my college plans. I had no idea Wendy was watching me that day. She saw me toss away the journal and watched me walk away. Once I was out of sight, she picked it up and cried over it. She got a new notebook and responded to each wish I had written in there. I didn't know this, but even if I did, what difference would it make? I had already memorized what needed remembering. Feelings that shouldn't stay are best let go early. For years later, I graduated college and became a reporter. I hit the news beat, focusing on getting real, timely, and effective information out there. I stuck to my initial dream, uncovering injustices in the world. But I never imagined running into Calvin again. It happened while I was reporting a story. He was at the center of it. That year, Calvin was taken away and missed his college entrance exams and never repeated them. He got his high school diploma and went straight to work. We lost touch. No one was really close with him. Seeing him now was unexpected. An interviewee, Oliver, Calvin's coworker, claimed Calvin had been bullying him for years. They were old friends from the same village. After graduation, they both went out to work. Calvin married a woman from the village, constantly taking stuff from Oliver's house. When Oliver saved to renovate his home, Calvin caused trouble to prevent any work, forcing them to stay in a rundown place. But Oliver came to us not for that, but because Calvin encouraged his own kid to bully classmates. Oliver's kid was a victim. I can't shake him off, Oliver said, but I won't let my kids suffer too. Calvin saw me from afar and, after a brief pause, got angry. Alex, are you here to laugh at me? You never let it go, even after all these years. You still want to isolate me. I ignored him and just reported the facts. After the story aired, many people came forward against Calvin. The chain of evidence was complete, and he had to face consequences. At our class reunion, everyone learned about Calvin from our station story. A classmate clinked glasses with me. Alex, congrats on being a great reporter. If I hadn't seen your report, I wouldn't have known Calvin was still causing trouble. Thank goodness you helped nail those scumbags. She handed me a piece of fruit, a bit worried. I hear reporters sometimes face backlash for exposing ugliness. Alex, be careful. Even if you don't talk about it, remember we're behind you. I hugged her and smiled. I'm fine, totally safe, I replied. Doing this is what I've always wanted. I won't stop just because there might be danger. Later, someone brought up Wendy. I heard she'd repeated a year but lost her drive and didn't pass exams the second time either. She ended up at some random school, graduated, and worked in a factory. Someone saw her once, almost hurt herself due to a lapse during work, and got scolded by the supervisor. A tablemate hesitated but said, I always thought Wendy wasn't right for you. She's confused, Alex. You're meant to shine and will find better companions. I smiled and said nothing. The truth is, I'd seen Wendy recently, too. After a shoot, I was at a street food spot with colleagues and saw Wendy eating alone nearby. She hesitated but came over, raising a glass to me. Out of the blue, she asked, if I had been more patient and seen through Calvin's lies, would things be different now? But there are no what-ifs. The twists of fate make every step we take so important. I remembered that summer, the constant chirping of cicadas. A girl with a gloomy face cast a shadow on me, apologizing. But I didn't say it was fine.